Anyway, I want to let everybody know that Pat has dedicated herself to my causes as I've dedicated myself to her causes. And she actually took off from her graduate studies during my last campaign. And she went back to school after I was elected and now is teaching at Cal State East Bay. So I hope I can have some of her time this coming year. Well, I didn't have to search very hard to decide whether or not to run for re-election, because in 3 years I felt like we've only just begun. We've begun to make a number of reforms at BART. I'm dedicated. Today our board meeting went until about 5 minutes till 5 this evening. And it's something that I'm used to. Not just long board meetings, but attending all of our other meetings, reaching out to the community, being involved with the public. People ask me all the time, so how much work is it to be a BART director? Could I maybe do this in my spare time? At least this director doesn't. I try to spend anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week. Weekends are often the most busy time. So I'm dedicated, and I feel that I'm bringing professional skills to a BART board that desperately needed it, that was out of control when I came in. But many of the things that were going wrong, the fact that we had a police department that was out of control, needed direction, the fact that we had problems with implementing any kind of transit-oriented development, we didn't have contracts for new cars, there were problems galore. And those problems are actually being resolved. And I would like to have 4 more years to see the full implementation of a number of my goals. I want to share with you. Thank you. Just a very brief update on the very difficult period we've gone through with 7 months of labor negotiations. You can see the result of it on the sidewalk outside. Nevertheless, I want to share that the BART board does set the parameters for what a contract is. I have the highest regard for our workers. I like looking over their shoulders, going on to the work site, whether it's with a track crew at 2 a.m. in the morning or with a scrub crew at 2 a.m. in the morning, or meeting up with our structures crew at 5 a.m. I'm familiar with their jobs, and I have empathy for what they do. In a negotiation, however, there are many sides. I like to say I have many masters. Part of it's to guard our passengers' paychecks, the taxpayers' paychecks, guard that the district has the ability to reinvest in the core system, as well as guard that we have the ability in the Bay Area to build a better economy that's based on transit. And balancing those factors with what we pay. And I believe we put a very fair package on the table, $67 million. Many people have said we've gone way too far. You heard the Vice President of the board, Joe Killer, say that same thing a few moments ago. Yet, that's a package that was agreed upon by both parties on November 1st. On November 2nd, I took the stage at Dia de los Muertos. I was proud. I was grateful to hear that the contract was ratified by both of our unions. It was a couple of days later that I learned we had an error. We fully admit the error came from a district computer. It was somebody on the BART management side that had made the error. The error is inclusion of a family leave provision, 6 weeks of paid leave. Again, we had a $67 million contract, a 6-week paid leave for over 2,500 employees, represents the second largest element of a contract after wages. It would blow that 67 million right out of the water. It was an error. When you receive an error on your bank statement, you don't go out and buy a new car, put down a new mortgage on your house. Anyway, we sent the contract back, said, look, you voted on ratifying a contract that had a $67 million package in it. And we hadn't negotiated the family leave provision. In fact, the family leave provision was last discussed on June 5th, 4 months before the vote occurred. And on June 5th, it was withdrawn, and in its place, a pregnancy leave provision was adopted. And that's what's moved forward in the contract throughout. So I believe that the people that were out there that approved a contract on November 1st are the same people that would love to see a paycheck with the pay raise in it that was included in that $67 million package. So I think we have a fair proposal. And I'm willing to talk to each and every one of you about details on this. I find whether it's the chronology or looking at the notes from the meeting on June 5th, I find it very compelling. My goals: reinvestment in the core system. In 2010, I talked a lot about a BART 2.0. A couple of weeks ago, I was still a little nervous. We had 410 cars that we had ordered last year, a major commitment. And then 2 weeks ago, we bumped it up to 775 new train cars. We've kept a public process around those train cars, inviting the public to come in, help us design the cars, help us design the layout for the seats, help us design the bike racks in those cars. The new cars will have 3 doors. It'll be a tremendous opportunity to increase the capacity, because guess what? We can't run 10-car trains through our stations with our existing fleet. We don't have enough cars. We desperately need the 2017 model cars to start rolling in, and they'll keep rolling in through 2021. It's a tremendous commitment by the BART board for your money. I recognize the dollars we spend are public dollars, but it's the best investment that we can make for the district. Another major effort of mine is around transit-oriented development. We have laws in this state now since 2006, AB 32, SB 375, that mandate that we do everything possible to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, get people to become more dependent upon cars, on train cars, and getting to the station on a bike, on foot. But getting to the station on bike, on foot, on other modes of transit, Chris Peoples, is maybe an interim measure. In the long run, I'd like most people to work and live close to transit, within walking distance of a transit station, so that you're able to push an elevator button for the first leg of your commute. And just today, we approved a new transit-oriented development project at the San Leandro station. A couple of weeks ago, we did a groundbreaking for the first 90 units at MacArthur, and I've made no secret that I want to see towers at MacArthur. I want to see towers at Lake Merritt. I want to see every one of our stations. And we have 22 stations that are slated for transit-oriented development. They need to become vibrant centers of the community that house young and old and create vibrant environments that, with groceries, with parks, with good schools nearby. We can do it. We can build a new community. One of the mechanisms that I found to be most effective to achieving my goals is to engage you. The way we've been doing it at BART has been to involve people in our advisory committees. We have almost 100 members of 8 different citizen advisory bodies at BART. Leo, in 1994, Leo served on the BART Bicycle Advisory Task Force. Dave Favelo's the chair of that task force today. When Leo was involved, BART didn't listen to the advisory task force. Linda Churchill is here representing the deaf and hard of hearing community from our accessibility task force. They weren't heard from in the past. I came on, the first thing I did was say, let's give everybody a travel reimbursement, show them that we respect their coming in, developing empathy for the needs of BART and sharing with us their needs from BART. And I've made it a priority to see that each one of those committees has 1 or 2 elements that's implemented each year in the budget at BART. When you see yellow stair treads on every stair at BART, you can thank our accessibility task force for giving us that idea. When you see bikes on board BART, new BART lockers, at 1,150 BART lockers now exist in the East Bay using electronic card key, secure parking. These elements come through our advisory committees. So I'm working hard to listen to you. I work for you. I don't work for BART. I work for your goals, and I depend on hearing from you. And I look forward to doing it for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And now, to close the ceremony, I'm pleased to introduce Kathy Neal, CEO of Veridis Fuel and member of the Alameda County Democratic Party 15th Assembly District Vice Chair.
Thank you for being here tonight, and I think that the Street Theater hopefully was entertaining, so you're not worried that you're missing your favorite TV shows. I obviously haven't been friends with Robert for as long as the other people on the program, but in the time that we have become friends, I have come to really respect him. I've been involved in politics for more years than I want to tell you because of my age. Every time we see all these negative stories about politicians and their special interests in the paper, I sort of cringe. But then I think about people in office like Robert who are there for the right reasons, not there for ego purpose. We've heard a lot tonight about his commitment, his dedication, and those who he works and fights for. But one thing you have not heard about him is that he's out there protecting the vested narrow interests of any one group. And I think we need more people like that in office, and I think, and I know that the only way we get them there is if we support them. This is going to be a tough race because Robert has gone about his job responsibly and quietly, but keeping in mind all of his constituents. He, along with the other board, has been painted with a very broad brush. And so the artists who are using that brush, appropriate because I'm in my good friend's art building, they have a lot of resources. I won't say they have unlimited resources, but they have an awful lot of resources. They have money, they have bodies, They have a lot of political know-how, and they have a lot of other, I won't say friends, but people to whom they may be beholden to them in political positions. So they're going to try to throw things at Robert from a lot of different directions, and I think that's where everyone in this room comes in. We've got to be his protectors. We've got to be his supporters, because he's giving up a lot of his life to go and do that for us on BART, and it's the least we can do to give back to him. That means we have got to pull together, find the resources, dig a little deeper to make sure he has them to win this election, to send the message that it's going to be the people who prevail, the environment who prevails, our region who prevails, and in some respects our very basic ability to live well in the future, because we look at things like public transportation that are reducing the negative impacts on our air quality. And it's so critical to our fundamental survival. Having said that, I know that you're all here tonight because this is a fundraiser, but I am going to challenge you to do a lot more. He's gonna need a lot more, so it takes you to give that lot more. So I want you, if you can tonight, dig a little deeper, write Robert another check. If you can't do that tonight, don't think you're getting off easy. I'm sure that if each of you thinks about it, you can come up with 10 people who you know, who you might be able, or you would be able to get on the phone and call or email or however you can text, tweet, whatever you do. And tell those people about Robert. Tell them how he is giving up so much because he cares about them, even if he doesn't know all of them. And see if you can get them to also contribute, because they know you, they trust your judgment. If you tell them Robert's okay, they'll probably say okay. And I'm not going to challenge you to go out and ask them to write a check for $100, $200, or $500. If they wrote a check for $30, that's like what, 5, 6 venti lattes at Starbucks? You know, I'm sure that in this room you know at least 10 people who can do that. And if each of us does something like that, one at a time, moving forward, we find the power that bringing together that individual exercise and then using our networks can have to return Robert to the BART board. I think it's so important for us to get him there. So think about it. If you think you can make that commitment to reach out through the campaign tonight, I want you to let Patricia know. There she is. She's not sure it's on here. You know, let her know so that we can really reach out and bring you in to keep you engaged in this effort throughout the campaign. Again, Robert, thank you for your service. People talk about it.
It's my joy.
I don't know people just actually say thank you. So on behalf of hopefully everybody in this room and all of the citizens, not just in your district, but in California and in the world, we do appreciate the work we know how important it is.
Okay, and in closing, I think that we have all heard, we all know what we need to do. Let's just make sure that we have Robert representing us, working for us, putting that energy that we all know he has, and Pat, of course. Pat, you're not getting off easily from this one. Working for us, for BART, re-elected for 4 more years.
Thank you.